A rich CEO ordered dinner. But when he opened the door and saw two little couriers, he was shocked. One night, David Grant, the CEO of a billion-dollar company, was sitting alone in his luxury apartment. The city lights outside his window glowed, but his world inside felt empty. He had money, power, everything. But no friends, no family, no one to share dinner with. His entire day had been full of meetings, numbers, contracts and business talks. He didn't cook. He never had to. So, like always, he opened his food delivery app and ordered a simple meal. A burger, some fries, and a soda. He pressed order, and leaned back on his couch. 15 minutes passed. Then, ding dong. The doorbell rang. David stood up, walked to the door and opened it, and froze. Two small kids were standing there. One boy, maybe 9 years old. A little girl younger, both holding a big red delivery bag. Their clothes were old, shoes worn out, hair messy. The boy looked tired. The girl was quiet, staring at the ground. David blinked. "You're delivering my food." The boy nodded slowly. "Yes, sir." David looked around, expecting to see an adult. No one, just the kids. "Where's your rider? Your parent?" The boy looked up. "He's gone. Our father passed away last month." David felt something in his chest. A soft hit. He looked at the kids again. They looked hungry, cold, and too small to be doing this kind of job. "You two are working alone?" "Yes, sir. Our mother is sick. We need money for her medicine. So we take orders in the evening. We only do nearby ones." David didn't know what to say. These were children. And yet, they were doing a job meant for adults. Walking in the night, carrying bags, just for a few coins. "Come in," David said. The boy looked unsure. The girl held his hand tightly. "You're safe," David said. "I won't hurt you. I just want to talk." The kids stepped in slowly. David asked them to sit on the couch. He brought them a glass of water. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ali," the boy said. "And this is my sister Noor." David nodded. "How old are you?" "I'm 9. Noor is 6. He stared at them. His own childhood had been very different. He had grown up with toys, tutors and vacations. These kids had grown up with struggle. "Do you go to school?" Ali looked down. "I used to. But after Papa died I had to stop." Noor never went. "Why?" "There was no money." David sat back. He had signed deals worth millions. Given bonuses to his board. Bought luxury watches worth thousands. But these two little kids couldn't afford a simple school fee. Something shifted inside him. "What's wrong with your mother?" Ali said quietly. "She has fever. And breathing problems. The doctor said she needs rest. And medicine." David stood up. "Let me drop you home." Ali shook his head. "No sir, we'll go, we always do." David picked up his car keys. "You helped me. Now I want to help you." The kids hesitated but then followed him. In the car, Ali sat in front. Noor quietly looked out the window. The streets passed by. And so did David's thoughts. He looked at his hands on the steering wheel. Strong, powerful hands that had built companies. But now, for the first time, he wanted to use them to build something better. They reached a small street. Dark, narrow, houses old and broken. One had a tiny light outside. Ali pointed. "That's our home." David walked them in. Inside was a small room, a bed, a few dishes, and on the bed a woman lay, thin, pale, eyes half open. "Amy," Ali whispered. "He helped us." The woman looked at David. She tried to sit up but couldn't. "Thank you," she said in a weak voice. David looked at her. "You need a doctor." "What, can't afford one," she replied. He didn't speak, just took out his phone, called someone. In 15 minutes, a private doctor arrived. The doctor checked her, gave medicine and wrote a note. "She needs rest," the doctor said. "Proper food. Clean space." David nodded. He paid the doctor and then turned to the kids. "Tomorrow," he said. "You're coming to my office." Ali looked surprised. "Why?" "I have something for you." That night, David drove back home. But his heart was not the same. Something had changed. He looked at the untouched burger on the table. The fries. The soda. He pushed them away. He had lost his appetite, but found something else. The next morning, he asked his assistant to cancel all meetings. "I'm expecting 2 guests," he said. She smiled. "Clients?" He shook his head. "No. Kids." He walked to the window and stared outside. Last night, 2 small hands had delivered his dinner. But they had delivered more than food. They had delivered purpose. The next morning, Ali woke up earlier than usual. His mother was still sleeping. Noor was curled up beside her. Her tiny arm wrapped around their mother's chest. The medicine from last night had finally brought her some peace. The house was quiet, but Ali's heart was not. There was a strange feeling inside him. Half fear, half excitement. What would happen at the CEO's office? What did David want? Why had he called them? Ali looked at the card David had given him. It was smooth, shiny, and heavy in his small hands. David Grant, CEO Grant Tech Enterprises. The letters looked like they came from another world. The kind of world where kids wore uniforms, ate lunch in school cafeterias, and didn't worry about medicines or delivery bags. Ali gently woke Noor up. "We have to go." "To where?" she asked sleepily. "To that big man's office." She rubbed her eyes. "Will he shout at us?" Ali shook his head. "No. He's different." Ali got Noor dressed. He wiped her face with a damp cloth, combed her hair with his fingers, and tied it in a ponytail using a rubber band he found on the floor. He wore his cleanest shirt. The one with only 2 missing buttons. Then he kissed his mother's forehead and left a note next to her pillow. "We'll be back. We're okay." They walked to the bus stop. The sun was already shining hard, but their walk didn't feel as heavy as other days. Something about this day felt new. Noor held Ali's hand tightly the whole time. When they reached the tall building, it looked even bigger in daylight. It was all glass and steel, reflecting the sky like a giant mirror. Noor whispered, "This is like a palace." Ali had never seen something like this up close. The guards at the front door stared as the 2 kids approached. But Ali held up the business card like a badge. "We're here to see Mr. David Grant." The guard blinked. "You?" "Yes. He told us to come." He took the card, looked at it again, picked up the phone, and dialed. A few seconds later he said, "Send them up." Ali and Noor stepped into the elevator. It was smooth, silent, and fast. Noor looked around at the mirrors inside and giggled. "Look, Ali! We're in 4 places." Ali smiled for the first time that day. When the doors opened on the top floor, a woman with glasses and a soft voice greeted them. "You must be Ali and Noor," she said. They nodded. "Mr. Grant is waiting for you." They followed her down a quiet hallway. Everything was clean. The air smelled like flowers. The carpet felt like clouds under their worn-out shoes. Then she opened a door, and there he was. David Grant stood by the window, looking out. When he turned, he smiled. And it wasn't fake. It was the kind of smile you give someone when you're truly glad they came. "Ali. Noor. You made it." Ali nodded. Noor looked shy and hid behind her brother. David walked over and knelt down to their level. "Thank you for coming." Ali asked, "Why did you want us here?" David stood up and pointed to the chairs. "Sit with me. Let's talk." They sat across from him at a giant table. It wasn't cold like they thought. It was warm. There were books, a small plant, and a bowl of candies. "I've been thinking about you both," David said. "Last night didn't feel like just a dinner. It felt like a wake-up call." The kids didn't understand what he meant, but they listened. "I built this company from nothing. But in the process I forgot about everything that truly matters. Family. Kindness. People." He paused and looked at Noor. She was staring at the candy bowl. "Would you like one?" he asked. She nodded. He pushed the bowl toward her, and she took one carefully like it was treasure. David smiled again. "I want to help you." Ali looked unsure. "Help us how?" "First, your mother. She needs proper treatment. I've already sent a nurse to your house this morning. She'll stay and take care of her." Ali's eyes widened. David continued, "Second, school. You both deserve to learn. Starting next week, you'll be enrolled in one. A good one. I'll take care of the fees, books, clothes. Everything." Noor dropped her candy. Ali sat frozen. "And third." David reached into a drawer and took out a folder. "I want to offer your mother a job. Something light. Remote. She can help us with data entry from home. She'll earn every month." Ali stood up. "But why? We didn't do anything. We just delivered your food." David looked at him deeply. "Sometimes, a simple moment can change a person. Last night, you changed me." Ali didn't know what to say. His heart was beating fast. He had never imagined a life like this. School, a job for his mother. A future. Noor whispered, "Can we still see you sometimes?" David chuckled. I hope you do. Suddenly, the door opened and one of David's employees walked in. Holding a coffee. She stopped when she saw the kids. Sir, it's okay Lisa, David said. They're my special guests. She nodded and left. David looked back at Ali. You know I used to be like you. Ali blinked. Like yes, poor, alone, hungry. My father died when I was 10. My mother cleaned houses. I worked odd jobs. But one day, a man saw something in me. He helped me go to school. Gave me a chance. And I promised myself one day, I'll do the same for someone else. Ali's voice cracked. You picked us. David nodded. Yes. Because you reminded me who I really am. For the next hour, they talked. David showed them around his office. Noor sat on his chair and giggled. Ali looked out the glass wall and whispered, I want to reach this high someday. You will, David said. I believe it. When it was time to go, David walked them to the elevator himself. He gave Ali a bag, clothes, shoes, school stuff. There's more at your house waiting. Ali looked up, trying to hide the tears in his eyes. But David saw them. He didn't say anything. He just placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. You're not alone anymore. The doors closed, and the elevator went down. David stood there for a long time, staring at the closed doors. That evening, David didn't order food. He drove to the kid's house. With him were more boxes, groceries, medicine, books. He knocked on the door. Their mother opened it. She looked better already. Mr. Grant, she said softly. No need for titles, he replied. I'm just David. She smiled. Thank you for giving my children a future. David looked at her. They gave me one too. Inside Noor was drawing something. David walked over and asked, What's that? She held up a picture. A big building. A man standing in front of it. 2 kids beside him. And at the top in big letters, family. David felt his throat close. He took the picture in his hand. Can I keep this? Noor nodded. He sat with them for dinner. Simple food. But the best meal he'd had in years. That night, he didn't go back to his apartment. He stayed until they all slept. In the corner of that tiny room, with a soft fan turning slowly, David Grant, CEO, billionaire, lonely man, closed his eyes. And for the first time in a long time, he slept with peace. Because in helping others, he had finally helped himself. The next morning came with something new, not just for Ali and Noor, but for David too. The air felt lighter. The day felt warmer. It wasn't because the sun was shining brighter. It was because something had changed deep inside them all. A bond had been created, one that didn't care about money, age or status. Ali woke up before Noor. Their mother was sitting up in bed, looking stronger. The nurse that David had sent was gently checking her pulse, writing something down. There were groceries in the corner, medicine on the shelf, and a calm silence in the room that didn't feel poor anymore. It felt peaceful. Ali helped Noor get ready. There were new clothes folded neatly by the wall. He didn't want to touch them at first. He wasn't used to new things. Noor looked at the dress and asked, Can I really wear this? Their mother smiled. Yes, baby. It's yours now. Ali put on a clean shirt and the new shoes. He held his sister's hand and stepped outside. They were not delivering food today. They were going to school. For the first time in a long time. A black car was already waiting outside, just like David had promised. The driver opened the door with a smile and said, Good morning, Mr. Ali. Good morning, Miss Noor. Ali blinked. Mr. The driver laughed softly. That's what Mr. Grant said. You two are important now. The ride to the school was quiet. Noor pressed her face against the window, watching buildings pass by. Ali sat up straight, feeling nervous. Would the other kids laugh at their clothes? Would they know how to read better? Would they belong? But when they reached the school, something surprising happened. A kind woman with a badge smiled at them. Welcome, Ali. Welcome, Noor. We've been waiting for you. She took their hands and walked them in. The halls smelled like new books and chalk. There were drawings on the walls. Laughter in the air. Noor looked around with big eyes and whispered, Is this really for us? Yes, the woman said. And this is only the beginning. Ali and Noor were placed in their classes. Some kids looked at them with curiosity, but no one was unkind. The teachers helped them, smiled at them, and introduced them gently. For the first time, Ali didn't feel like a delivery boy. He felt like a student. He opened a book and tried to read the first line. It was hard, but he didn't give up. Meanwhile, back at Grant Tech, David Grant sat in his office, but something was different. His tie was loose. His sleeves rolled up, the door to his office stayed open, people walked by and peeked in, surprised to see their boss smiling. He wasn't on back-to-back calls. He wasn't shouting instructions, he was thinking. Thinking about 2 kids, he took out his phone and called the nurse. "How's the mother doing?" "She's improving," the nurse replied. "She sat up this morning and even asked for tea." David smiled. "Good. Keep me updated. Anything she needs, give her." Then he hung up and leaned back in his chair. Years ago, David used to believe success meant power, control, numbers, and headlines. But now he was realizing something deeper. Sometimes, real success comes quietly, in the form of helping hands and silent smiles. At lunchtime, David did something he hadn't done in years. He left the office, he drove to a small toy shop. He bought a backpack for Noor, pink, with stars on it, and a notebook for Ali with a tiger on the front. Then he picked up something else, something simple, a little picture frame, empty. But he already knew what he would put inside. He went straight to the school. The staff knew who he was. But he didn't come as the CEO today, he came as a friend. As someone who had been changed. Ali was sitting alone in the cafeteria, looking at the rice on his tray like he didn't know if he deserved it. David walked up and sat beside him. Ali looked up and blinked. "Sir, no sir today," David said. "Just David." He gave him the notebook. "Thought you might like this." Ali smiled. "Thank you. It's cool." David looked at him. "How was your first day?" Ali shrugged. "Hard, but I like it. That's how all great things start." Noor came running in. "David, look what I made." She held a drawing in her hand, 3 stick figures holding hands. "This is you. This is Ali. And this is me." David took the drawing. He stared at it. His eyes softened. "It's beautiful." That night, David placed that drawing inside the picture frame. Then he placed it on his desk, next to all the awards and trophies he had collected over the years. It was the only one that made his heart full. 2 days turned into weeks. Ali and Noor became regular students. Noor learned to write her name in English. Ali learned multiplication. They made friends. They laughed more. Their mother recovered slowly and started working from home, entering data into David's company system. It wasn't much, but it was honest work. And it made her feel proud. David visited often, not with money, not with gifts, but with time. He helped Ali with homework. He brought books for Noor. He even taught their mother how to use a laptop. One weekend, he brought them all to the park. They sat on the grass eating sandwiches, watching birds. Ali asked, "Why do you come here, David? You're a CEO. Don't you have important work?" David looked at him and said, "You are my most important work now." Ali looked away, hiding a tear. Then something unexpected happened. Noor got sick. At first it was just a cold, but then came a high fever, then weakness, then coughing at night. Their mother took her to a local clinic. The doctor looked worried. "This isn't just a fever," he said. "She needs hospital care." Now, Ali called David. He didn't even finish the sentence. David was already on his way. He picked them up in minutes and drove straight to the best children's hospital in the city. The doctors ran tests. They kept Noor under observation. Ali sat by her bed, holding her hand. David stood outside the room, arms crossed, trying not to panic. He had faced business crises, stock crashes, lawsuits, but nothing scared him more than a 6-year-old girl with tired eyes. A doctor came out. "She's stable. But we'll need to keep her here for a few days. She needs rest, fluids, and monitoring." David nodded. "Do whatever it takes." For the next 3 nights David didn't go home. He stayed at the hospital, sleeping in a chair near Noor's bed. He read her stories. He brought her soup. He even let her braid his hair while she laughed softly through her mask. Ali watched silently, his heart full. One morning Noor sat up and smiled. "I feel better." David laughed. "That's because hospitals can't handle strong girls like you for too long." Ali walked over and hugged her. David watched. And in that moment, he knew something very clearly. He had started by helping them. But now, they had saved him. David sat on the couch. Ali was reading a book beside him. Noor was coloring quietly. The sound of crayons filled the silence. It wasn't like the silence David used to know. This one was warm, safe, alive. He picked up Noor's drawing. A house. A man with a big smile. 2 small kids beside him. A son in the corner. A tree and a word on top, family. David looked at her. "Is this your family?" he asked. She smiled and nodded. "Yes." He pointed at the man. "Who's this?" "That's you," she said simply. David felt his heart stop for a moment. Then it beat again. Slowly, strongly. A word he hadn't heard in years echoed in his head. Family. He looked at Ali. "Do you still have your dad's things?" Ali nodded. "Some. His old jacket. His wallet. A photo. Will you show me someday?" Ali didn't answer at first. Then he said, maybe. The room was quiet again. But this time it wasn't empty. It was full of something unspoken. A connection that didn't need many words. A week later, Noor was fully recovered. She returned to school, her energy back, her laughter louder. The hospital stay had made her stronger, not weaker, and Ali, he had changed too. He was more focused, more confident. He helped other students with reading. He stood taller when walking through the halls. One afternoon David received a call. It was from the school principal. Mr. Grant, do you have a moment? Of course, David said. I just wanted to tell you Ali is special. The teachers are amazed. His progress in 1 month is more than what some kids achieve in a year. David smiled. I knew it. He's leading a reading group now. And Noor. She's everyone's favorite. She brings drawings for her teachers every day. David laughed softly. That sounds like her. You did a beautiful thing, Mr. Grant, the principal said. Thank you. David hung up the phone and stared out the window. He didn't say it aloud, but he had never felt prouder in his life. Not after any deal, not after any award. Nothing came close to this. That evening, David drove to their home. He didn't call first. He just showed up, carrying a box under his arm. Ali opened the door. You didn't message today, David smiled. I wanted to surprise you. Inside, Noor ran to him.
David!
Look, I got a star in class. She showed him her notebook, where a golden sticker shone beside her math work. David gave her a high five. You're a genius. Then he turned to their mother, who was in the kitchen making tea. She looked healthier now. Her eyes were no longer tired. Her hands moved with purpose. Good evening, David said. Good evening, David, she replied. You're always welcome here. David placed the box on the table. What's this? Ali asked. David opened it. Inside was a laptop. For your mom, he said, so she can work better. The mother put a hand to her mouth. David, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he said. You're already doing your part. Ali stared at the screen. It's so shiny. David laughed. It's fast too, you'll see. They had tea together. Noor told stories from school. Ali showed his science book. David just listened. He didn't need to speak. Watching them was enough. Too later that night, David drove home. But halfway he changed his mind. He turned the car around and drove somewhere else. He stopped at a graveyard. It was quiet. Cold still. He walked to a particular grave, one he hadn't visited in years. His mother's. He stood there silently. Then he spoke. I know it's been a long time. The wind moved gently around him. I thought I had everything. But I had nothing. He swallowed hard. But now I think you'd be proud. I found 2 kids, or maybe they found me. He paused. They reminded me of us, how we struggled, how we survived. And how you always smiled, even when life was hard. He knelt down and touched the stone. I'm trying to do what you taught me. Be kind, be honest, be human. Then he stood up and left. The stars watching silently above him. The next few weeks passed like a dream. Ali and Noor kept growing, not just in size but in spirit. They laughed more, learned more. David took them to the museum, the zoo, and even to a football match. He bought Ali his first jersey. Noor got a whistle and used it way too much. David didn't mind. One night, as they walked home, Ali said, David, can I ask you something? Of course. Why don't you have a family? David looked up at the sky. I had one, but I was too busy chasing success, and I let them slip away. Ali was quiet for a long time. Then he said, you have one now. David didn't reply. He didn't need to. One day, Ali came home excited. He had written a story for a school competition. It was about a boy who delivers food and meets a lonely man who becomes like a father to him. David read it that night. Every word hit his heart like thunder. Simple words, deep feelings. When he finished, he looked at Ali. This story is real, isn't it? Ali nodded. David wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. You're a writer, Ali. Ali smiled shyly. I want to publish this, David said. What? Yes. We'll make it into a small book. I'll help. You write more. Ali looked stunned. And you know what we'll call it? David asked. Ali shook his head. The dinner that changed everything. But just as life seemed perfect, something unexpected happened. David received a call. It was from one of his board members. David, there's news. What kind of news? Your investors, they're worried. About what? About your focus. You've been missing meetings. Canceling deals. Spending time outside the company. David didn't speak. We know you're doing something good. We've heard about the kids. The hospital. The school visits. But this is business, David. It's not a charity. David listened quietly. If this continues, we may have to reconsider your position. He hung up the phone and sat in silence. For the first time in months, he felt the coldness of his old world knocking again. He stood up, looked around his office, the awards, the numbers, the screens. Then he looked at the framed drawing Noor had made. Family, that one word. He knew what he had to do. That night, he called Ali and asked to meet in the park. They sat on a bench. Noor ran around chasing a butterfly. I may not be CEO for much longer, David said. Ali looked confused. Why? Because I chose to care about you more than profit. Ali looked down. I'm sorry. David shook his head. No, don't be. I'm not sorry at all. Ali said nothing. Then David looked at him seriously. I want you to promise me something. What? No matter what happens to me, you'll never stop learning. You'll never forget who you are. Ali nodded. David placed a hand on his shoulder. You are going to change the world, Ali. You and Noor both. Noor ran over. I caught the butterfly. David smiled. Then the world better watch out. A week later, David stepped down as CEO. He shocked the media. The business world was stunned. But he didn't give any interviews. He didn't explain. He just walked away from the tower he had built, to build something greater. A home. Not of marble, but of love. He used his savings to create something new. A foundation for street children. A place where kids like Ali and Noor could learn, eat, sleep, and dream. He named it Noor's Light. Ali helped design the logo. Noor picked the wall colors. Their mother managed the kitchen. And David, he stood at the gate every morning, welcoming each child with a smile. They no longer delivered food, they delivered hope, every single day. And this was only the beginning. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please subscribe to the channel right now. This story is not over, it has just begun. What happens next in Ali and Noor's life will surprise you, inspire you, and maybe change you.